How do you build an economy when the smallest state by landmass that has the highest per capita income with the highest population has the only functioning seaport in Nigeria, while everybody else is left to go home and dry? It doesn't make sense. This is the reason why I'm saying to the president that it is economic injustice and Nigeria is structurally skewed to favor Lagos economy. I don't know what the Southeast Governors Forum are doing. I don't know what they discuss when they meet, but there are critical areas that we must address. The Southeast, yes, is the only region that does not have a high pressure gas transmission pipe to take natural gas through it. What exactly is wrong that it seems that there is like a calculated power share between the Northwest and the Southwest, and until every other region in Nigeria gets permission from the Northwest and the Southwest, nothing happens in their region? It doesn't make any sense. How can Mr. President be talking about renewed hope and economic transformation and increase in the per capita income of Nigerians and prosperity for Nigerians about building a $1 trillion economy when everything is centered around Lagos? Somebody imports a 40-foot container from Guangzhou to Lagos and it will cost him 5 or 6 million naira to truck it to Aba. And you don't expect that he's going to pass on that inflation cost to the people, considering the fact that we don't have standard gauge rail lines that extend horizontally from the southwest to the southeast. It's marginalization, economic marginalization, and we have to speak truth to power. Lagos is a city of about 18 to 20 million people. We don't really know our accurate census in Nigeria because, we've not had a real census in a very long time. But let's just say Lagos is a city of about 18 to 20 million, occupying 30,527 square meters. I think which is the smallest landmass in Nigeria. It has a GDP of over $4,500 per capita when you look at it in real times, compared to the per capita of Nigeria of about $2,520 US. The question now becomes, of the 6 different ports in Nigeria, Warri, Onne, Calabar. Calabar, by the way, was the first deep sea port in Nigeria because Calabar was the first federal capital of Nigeria. Apapa, Tinkan, how many of them are operational? How many of them are operational today? Look, Onne Seaport is designated as exploration and production for oil and gas, which means that if you're bringing any goods that is non-oil and gas cargoes, the rates that your charge is not, it makes the port uncompetitive. So if you bring a car through on there, you're going to pay more as compared to what you pay in Lagos, which means that Lagos will be the preferred seaport for bringing in cars and every other cargo. And cars, by the way, are one of the major imports that constitutes a share of our major imports, especially from the US. Okay? Why would you not invest in raising the channel draft in Calabar? In 2006, a contract was awarded to a Dutch company to embark on rehabilitation of that seaport and to raise the channel draft. The government had issues with the company over contract variation costs, and that lingered for a long time. When the government attempted to go back to do it, the company says that you cannot, and the case was in court. In 2022, that case was taken out of court for out-of-court settlement. The immediate past MD of MPA says that, they've taken the case out of court, we're going to work on raising the channel draft. The Calabar seaport is dead. Like, you barely have vessels coming there, maybe 1 vessel per week compared to Lagos. How do you build an economy when the smallest state by landmass that has the highest per capita income with the highest population, right, has the only functioning seaport in Nigeria, while everybody else is left to go home and dry? It doesn't make sense. This is the reason why I'm saying to the president that it is economic injustice and Nigeria is structurally, skewed to favor Lagos economy. And this is the basic truth. The Calabar deep sea port draft has not been done. The documents at the ICRC has been cleared for Akwa Ibom Deep Sea Port project in Ibom. Yeah, the federal government has sat on it because if you look at the structure, 20% of the shares belongs to the federal government, 20% belongs to the state government, and 60% belongs to interested private sector investor. And that 60% was given as a 34-year concession, a PPP with Bolloré Logistics, like 2 or 3 years ago. Bolloré, the French company, ended up selling itself to MSC, Mediterranean Shipping Company. Mediterranean said they are doing revalidation. Why is the federal government not putting as much effort in making sure that they start building Akwa Ibom Deep Sea Port, like they did for Lekki Deep Sea Port in Lekki Free Trade Zone? And now the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy is saying that they are going to, cut to investors, and they are doing drawings to see that they start the Bakassi Deep Sea Port. How can Lagos have 3 functioning seaports with a 4th one in the works and every other place is languishing? How do you build an economy when everything is centered around Lagos? Is it because the Lagos establishment is afraid that if there is an operational seaport in the eastern maritime flank, which geographically is better for maritime operations, you're going to have diversion of port operations from the southeast, the south-south, the northeast to Akwa Ibom? Is it because they're afraid of revenue losses? It doesn't make any sense. We have to say the truth to power.
All right. Kevin, you're right. We have to say the truth to power. And thank you for doing that as well. And, yesterday you put out a series of tweets highlighting these issues regarding the Calabar seaport. But you also stated in your tweet about the fact that the southeast is the only region in the whole of Nigeria that doesn't have a high pressure transmission pipe for gas running through it. I'd love for you to highlight that as well. And now you've asked the federal government to decentralize port operations to the Eastern Maritime Corridor, so that the southeast and the northeast can benefit. Now, why do you believe that this has been so difficult to achieve?
Oji, it's interesting you ask this question, and the reason I don't know what the Southeast Governors Forum are doing. I don't know what they discuss when they meet, but there are critical areas that we must address and we must bring to the table as soon as possible. The Southeast, yes, is the only region that does not have a high pressure gas transmission pipe to take natural gas through it. You have the AKK, the Ajaokuta, Abuja, Kaduna, Kanu. There is a second phase of that AKK that goes to Gausu in Zamfara. Now, in that AKK, you have pressure metering and reduction stations in Gwagwalada for Abuja. You have in Kaduna, you have in Kanu. And then you're also going to have in Gausu when the second phase starts. That AKK is what the government hopes to extend for transnational gas pipeline through Niger Republic to Algeria, even if I don't think that will be feasible because of the lack of diplomatic relationship between Niger Republic and the Nigerian government in Abuja. Okay? The Southeast does not have a pipe that runs through it, despite the fact that Abia State produces a lot of natural gas. In 2007, Ibe Kachuku designed Nigerian Gas Master Plan, and in that master plan, he put a 121-kilometer pipe that is supposed to extend from Aba to Owerri, to Enugu, to Onitsha, and then to Nnewi. The government says that no, they want to do a TNGP pipe extension from Abia State to Ajaokuta, and the second phase is going to go from Abia State to Enugu to Ajaokuta. That is going to take gas away from the southeast, not through the southeast. You need a pipe that extends that, because you need gas for glass fabrication, you need gas for urea, you need gas for power. 40% of the gas that is typically produced every day, either through associated gas that you get when you drill crude oil, or through non-associated gas fields. It's used for electricity. So how do you want to increase generation and increase feedstock to the gencos in the southeast if you don't build a high-pressure transmission pipe? Whose responsibility is it to make sure that this happens? It's the Nigerian Gas Infrastructure Company, which is a subsidiary of the NNPC group. So my question to the management of NNPC is, why have they refused to commission FID for gas pipes to the southeast? Why have the Southeast Governors Forum not gotten into a meeting with the president to ask him why the region does not have a gas pipe that runs through it? What exactly is wrong that it seems that there is like a calculated power share between the Northwest and the Southwest, and until every other region in Nigeria gets permission from the Northwest and the Southwest, nothing happens in their region. It doesn't make any sense. How can Mr. President be talking about renewed hope and economic transformation and increase in the per capita income of Nigerians and prosperity for Nigerians about building a $1 trillion economy when everything is centered around Lagos? Somebody imports a 40-foot container from Guangzhou to Lagos, and it will cost him 5 or 6 million naira to truck it to Aba. And you don't expect that he's going to pass on that inflation cost to the people, considering the fact that we don't have standard gauge rail lines that extend horizontally from the southwest to the southeast. It's marginalization, economic marginalization, and we have to speak truth to power.
All right, then if I can come in here, Mr. Kevin, and you have touched on very salient points this morning. But if we focus on how to decentralize these port operations, with port activities concentrated in Lagos, Nigeria is still facing issues of congestion, of inefficiency, and like you even said, increased cost of doing business, because at the end of the day, it's the consumer who bears the brunt of what's currently happening. So when we look at why decentralizing the port operations across the country, including strategic seaports like Calabar, Onne, Warri, remaining a persistent challenge, what are those systemic reforms? What are those infrastructural investments that are necessary to make this decentralization a reality?
Cheito, I'll tell you what. Well, one of the reasons why house rent has been skyrocketing in Lagos, which also contributes to inflation that you have in Lagos, is because demand is higher than supply of houses in Lagos. Lagos is creating, there isn't enough infrastructure to accommodate the population. And that's because you've centralized the entire Nigerian economy. The contribution of Lagos to real GDP is 23%. Lagos State's factor IGR ratio is 22% to 78%, which means 78% IGR, 22% FAC. Lagos State generates 26% equivalent. Lagos generates revenues equal to what 26 states in Nigeria generates. 26 states in Nigeria, which means Lagos is the most viable economy. Okay? If you want to decentralize port operations, I'll give you an example. The proposed capex for the Ibom deep sea port is $4.6 billion. The share capital contribution of the federal government is about $920 million. The capital contribution of the Akwa Ibom state government is about $920 million. The capital contribution of the private sector investor, which was Bolore, that got a 34-year concession for the ports to build, operate, and manage, is $2.7 billion. How do you raise financing for the project? Afrexim will gladly put up counterparty funding for this Akwa Ibom state government. Akwa Ibom state government can go to the debt capital markets and raise a state government bond to finance its own share. Akwa Ibom state government has a lot of liquidity because it has 13% derivation. It has a huge share from FAC because it's an oil producing state. The federal government can also get Afrexim to finance its own side of the capital contribution for the project. These are the kind of projects that the government is supposed to be borrowing for, not to borrow to refinance existing debts, or to borrow to pay salaries, or to borrow to fund the expensive lives of politicians in Abuja. You invest in capital projects that will generate revenue and create jobs for the people and improve their standard of living. So if you're asking me how we can decentralize port operations, I'm giving you a practical example of a seaport in the Eastern Maritime Corridor that can improve trade and can help to decongest Lagos. The Akwa Ibom deep seaport, by the way, has a shore to sea that is 16 kilometers. It's the shortest distance to deep sea in the whole of Nigeria. Shorter than Lagos, shorter than what you have in Lekki, shorter than Apapa, shorter than Tinkan, shorter than the proposed Badagry deep seaport. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what. With the tension in the Middle East, you saw what happened to the aircraft, the Azerbaijan aircraft that flew through the Black Sea and was shot down by Russian defense missile. The Black Sea is closed to maritime operations. The Suez Canal is also closed. A report came out last week that says Egypt has lost $7 billion in 2024 because of the issues in the Middle East, because of Yemeni terrorists, because of Iranian militias that are causing havoc to commercial vessels. Vessels that are coming from Southeast Asia are diverting all through the Cape of Good Hope down to South Africa. And then they turn back either into Western Europe, to South America, or to North America. In fact, Afro-Exim early this year and late last year commissioned a study, an internal study, to find the number of bunkering hubs in South Africa. Bunkering hubs are basically like terminals within ports that helps you to refuel and repair ships. They didn't find enough bunkering. I think there are maybe 2 operational bunkering hubs in the whole of that eastern down to the southern hemisphere of South Africa, of Africa. Now, if that Akwa Ibom deep sea port is allowed to operate, you can basically build a bunkering hub into it for ships that come through the southern maritime flank, South Africa, the Cape of Good Hope, to sail all the way to Nigeria, refill, do any repair or maintenance before they proceed on their onward journeys to Western Europe or to North America. The problem we have in Nigeria is that we don't have foresight. We bicker over the most mundane issues that doesn't affect the long-term prosperity and growth of the economy. The national debate is weak, it's shallow. There are critical issues we have to handle, and seaport operations is one of them, because you have governors going around telling you, oh, Kogi State got an approval to build an airport. An airport is not as consequential to an economy as a seaport. And if we don't tackle critical infrastructure, we're only going to keep dreaming and wishing.